The following is a Comedy Central special. Presentation.
Personality Howard Stern has shocked the nation by announcing his candidacy for governor of New York State.
I absolutely believe that I will beat Mario Cuomo. I will certainly beat any Republican candidate. I am the king of all media. That is the truth. That is a fact.
The self-proclaimed king rules an empire of 16 million listeners in 15 cities from coast to coast. They tune in to hear Stern's unique mix of titillation, salaciousness, and pointed social satire. The multi-talented Stern also rocked the publishing world with a bestseller, Private Parts, that sold over 1 million copies. Stern has also shared his success with the less fortunate. His New Year's television special took in $15 million, but also raised millions for the medical expenses of penile reattachment poster boy John Wayne Bobbitt. Yet there are those who would silence Stern. The Federal Communications Commission fined his employer, Infinity Broadcasting, $1.67 million for what they called obscenity. But is Stern a guttermouth or a golden boy? Who is this figure of controversy, this renegade? Howard Stern was raised in the sprawling suburb of Roosevelt, Long Island, the only son of Ray and Ben Stern, a homemaker and a radio engineer. Stern compared his boyhood to being raised like a veal. It was like growing up in a box with no lights. How he grew up surrounded by a quiet, older sister, an overprotective mother, and a gruff father whose motto was, "Shut up, sit down, you moron." Seeking refuge from his loneliness, young Stern created a fantasy world of obscene puppet shows. High school was no better. The adolescent Howard, a shy, polite youth, was beaten up regularly by ruffians. Stern recalls wishing that Charles Manson was his mother, because at least he protected his family. Things changed for the better when Stern left his family in 1972 to attend Boston University. There, he met his future wife, Allison. Stern says he has remained faithful to her despite, in his words, her PMS and her Yenta friends and her snoring and her lunches at the country club. With Allison's love and support, Stern honed his craft in a succession of radio jobs in small markets. It was in the nation's capital at the dawn of the Reagan era that Stern first teamed up with his constant sidekick, Robin Quiver. She, too, gave him the support he had longed for as a child. And then, New York City and a job at WNBC Radio. Finally, he had the approval he craved from an audience of millions. Humorous skits like Butt Bongo and Lesbian Dial-A-Date and frequent jokes about his small penis made him nationally famous. But it still wasn't enough for Howard Stern. Instead of mocking the headlines, he would now make them. Facing widespread suspicion of his motives, the frequently misunderstood Stern had this to say.
This is no disc jockey shtick. I swear to you, I am a serious candidate for the governor of New York.
The candidate is serious, but will he be taken seriously by the voting public? Only time and the ballot box will tell.
The first issue I'm fed up with is...
personality, Howard Stern, takes the page from the Clinton-Gore-Bush campaign to take the message to the street and to the people. Stern begins his journey on the winding road to the governor's office, carrying the hopes and dreams of the Libertarian Party in his baggage. Will voters want to come along for the ride? Only time will tell.
I'm going to fix the roadways at night. I'm going to stagger tolls, and I am going to bring back the death penalty. Once that's accomplished, I'll step down, and I will let my lieutenant governor take over.
One of his campaign promises is to make all road crews work only at night so commuting is easier. Do you agree?
I agree with that. Pedestrians crossing the street, a lot of traffic, cars, trucks, and it's a safety hazard for us workers out here during the day.
Oh, it's less danger at night, but, you know, then you can't see what you're doing either.
Howard Stern has also proposed filling potholes with the bodies of executed criminals. Do you think that would work?
Yes or no.
No comment.
Are potholes the biggest cause for hubcap loss?
After this winter, definitely. With the way the roads are now, there's always something knocking hubcaps off, so people are always looking to buy them.
Is there any particular hubcap that would be a Howard Stern hubcap you'd like to show him?
Probably the best would be the Rolls-Royce.
Howard Stern feels the toll booth lines are too long. Do you agree with this?
Long lines are a bad thing. I wouldn't want to wait on a long line on toll booth if he wants to do something to correct it. But if it's going to put people out of work, then, you know, it's not a good thing to do.
People coming through here, do they get angry when it gets backed up?
Very angry.
The lines here get pretty long sometimes, and they get very angry. I vote for him if he can cut down the lines and keep the people from cursing us out all the time.
There is nothing that Howard Stern wants to do that he can't do, particularly if his mother is behind him.
And so the journey begins, as the Stern campaign sets out from the concrete jungle of New York City through the bustling village of Harlem. As the motorcade makes its way north under the noonday sun, expectations are high. Excitement builds as the caravan heads through the quiet hamlet of Newburgh. Though it is only April, thoughts of fall, of November, and Election Day are as relentless as the turning of wheels of the bus on the way to Saugerties. Have the residents of this quaint town ever before known such enthusiasm? We think not. And just over the horizon, the ultimate destination, Albany, capital of the Empire State. And as the Odyssey continues, so too does the metamorphosis of Howard Stern, from radio shock jock to credible political candidate, from bawdy entertainer to keeper of the public purse.
The sun is bright this April morning in Albany, as bright as the hopes of New York's Libertarian Party and dark horse candidate Howard Stern. The question today, will the party faithful to Stern for governor, or will they stick with one of the rank and file, someone who has toiled for years in total obscurity for libertarian causes? Literally dozens of Stern supporters have flocked to Albany for the moment of truth. They are confident their man will win, but there's no telling what they'll do if he loses.
With only an hour remaining before the Libertarian Convention begins, Stern makes a final attempt to prove he is, in fact, a sincere candidate.
If anybody has a question, I'd be happy to answer it. Then I have to get inside and hopefully take the nomination on the first ballot.
Who are your political role models, and will you attend the Nixon mantle?
Well, you know, I know that Nixon died today, and I think that it is appropriate that I am here sweating in front of you. As you can see, it's 190 degrees in here, and like Nixon, I am sweating profusely.
One more question, Mr. Stern?
Yes.
How are you going to make it on a governor's salary?
Well, I'm not going to make it on a governor's salary. As a matter of fact, I couldn't live on that for 2 minutes. My wife has 2 housekeepers and has all the food delivered to the house. What I'm going to do is, as a matter of fact, I don't even want a salary when I become governor. I'll take the governor's salary and I'll give it to Robin.
Oh, thank you!
What do you think of that?
But Stern's serious message is apparently lost on some of his supporters.
Hey, who wants to see my dildo? Look, my dildo. I got a dildo. Look, I got a dildo. Who wants to see my dildo?
Get him out of there, Jared. Get him off there. Get him off, Jared. Get him off. Get him off, Jared. He's gone. All right.
Howard Stern's march to the podium is greeted by an outpouring of emotion that makes the convention seem like a coronation. Despite the antics of his delegates, Stern takes the high road in his opening address.
I'm very impressed with the Libertarian Party and some of the things that are being said here today. years, people have been saying to me that all of the things you've been saying on the radio are definitely in concordance with all of the libertarian rules. And in fact, libertarians for years have been saying, let's legalize drugs. I've been saying that for years. While I myself am not a drug taker, I stopped that years ago, although I did have a beer the other day. I believe that drugs are causing corruption in our society among the police. J. Edgar Hoover knew it. He wouldn't let the FBI be involved in drug investigations because he knew it would lead to corruption. Taking drugs and making them illegal are doing us no good. Look, as far as the things that are being said here today by the Libertarians, I like what they have to say. I like that they're an alternative party. And if you're asking me if I'm a serious candidate, I didn't just drive 6 hours to come up here because I'm jerking off. Look at the polls. Already I have 20% of the vote, and it would have been higher if people thought I was serious. They will think I'm serious. And why will they think I'm serious? Number one, I am serious. You're freaking right. I am going to run as a libertarian. Amen. I will win as a libertarian. In order to win, it means I have to have a legitimate and viable candidate running alongside of me, one that the mainstream will accept. It is time for libertarians to come into the mainstream and actually win an election, an important election, the most important election in this state. I'm taking this all the way to the governor's mansion. I am going to be the next governor of New York. I'm asking you not only to support me, I'm asking you to bring this party together. Get behind me. I'll give you votes like you've never seen before. We're going to win this. So I'm not going to go on. I'm not going to drone on. I'm not going to sit here and knock my other candidates and opponents, and I'm not going to do that because, you know what, I don't know too much about them. Give me your vote today. Thank you. Thank you.
Howard Stern is not the only funny man at the convention. Libertarians also display their trademark sense of humor.
I always consider myself a very strict Marxist. That's a Groucho Marxist. That is a Groucho Marxist, not a Karl Marxist.
The Stern steamroller seems unstoppable, yet some Libertarian candidates receive a surprisingly warm response from the pro-Stern delegates.
I know from the little bit I've listened to Howard Stern's show that he really likes it when ladies come in and take off their jackets, so I decided I'd do that first.
Some libertarians seem bitter. They treasure their libertarian beliefs like private ownership of rivers and lakes. For these diehards, trading ideological purity for sky-high poll ratings is no bargain.
It's very clear that this body wants to nominate Howard Stern.
That's out of line. What the hell do you think?
Sit down, please.
We're witnessing virtual warfare here at the convention. Apparently, some libertarians have forgotten that their party favors civil debate on political issues.
This is not a push. This is not a vehicle. This is a push. This is not a meeting.
Point of personal privilege and
You're out of order.
By his own words, Howard Stern has said he is not qualified to be governor. The fact that he has also said on several occasions that anyone, even a monkey, could run the government, I'm not sure.
The few lonely libertarians who oppose Howard Stern can only wait for the vote count. Can they regain control of the party, or will they fade into historical obscurity like the supporters of Paul Tsongas?
Well, you asked me, is it indicative, his running of anything, and it is. The world is crazy.
All right, here are the vote totals as tabulated. Robin Quivers, 1. Nadia Lou Brokaw, 22. Howard Stern, 208. Total vote was 300. 181, needed to win 253. It's Howard Stern.
Here it is. It's been decided Howard Stern will be running for governor.
As I look around, I say, next year we better have the convention at my house. I think I have more room than... Thank you. If you want to take the Libertarian Party into the mainstream and truly make it a third party in this country, we have a shot here at it.
I'd work for growth in the Libertarian Party. This isn't growth. This is revolution. We're going to kick ass in November.
Howard, when you become governor, are there any chances of putting the first execution on pay-per-view?
King Ball Messenger. Thank you. Let me say something. I've talked about this, and there is nothing wrong with doing business on pay-per-view, even if it is an execution. Yes, that can be looked into. I will be honored to call the switch.
How much current does the electric chair use?
Current 5 amps and 2,000 volts. I mean, that's what they'll use to electrocute the man in the electric chair.
Would wearing rubber-soled shoes protect a person from death in the electric chair?
No, I think you'd have to be in a dive suit, pretty much. I think that would be the case.
In your experience, is electricity a force for good or for evil?
That's tough. I mean, it's such a multifaceted question. I mean, you know, what is good, what is evil, but electricity is always constant. So it's kind of the yin and yang of energy.
Comedy Central asked New York Governor Mario Cuomo for his thoughts about candidate Stern. I mean, here is a person who spends his life in comedy, basically, now embracing the death penalty. I don't know what that does. It's an interesting phenomenon.
Let me just say something. Black, white, Puerto Rican, doesn't make a difference. I will electrocute everyone. It don't make a difference. We need the death penalty. You're right, sir. Salam alaikum. Alaikum salam. Very good. Thank you.
Howard Stern is incredible.
He's what? What is he? A dirty Imus? Well, I know he's very bright. At least that's what they tell me.
With nomination in hand, Howard Stern can begin his run for governor in earnest. Yet the future of this campaign seems as clear as the mud through which it will surely be dragged. Stern appears sincere when he says he's a real candidate. But candidates face intense media scrutiny. This question for Howard Stern, will it become too intense? Mr. Stern, if you are successful in your gubernatorial campaign, would you consider running for president?
Let me say something. Number one, this woman is with Comedy Central, who plans to make a TV show out of this convention and try to something So with that in mind, I will say no comment to your question. Not right. Not right.
The crowd has the right to know.
The crowd doesn't have a right to know. You should quit Comedy Central. It's not fair. Go ahead, next one.
In the months to come, the eyes of the nation will be glued to the New York gubernatorial race, and Comedy Central is as committed to covering Howard Stern as he is to running. We'll be bringing you more of his campaign, whether he wants us to or not.